over the past couple of years, post-COVID, we've got, and personally, the conversations that I have been, the clients have asked even for putting their data infra in place. The whole means they are taking it, the whole approach of analytics
to making
and
it systematic.
very, very systematic, building data warehouses.
Got it.
Then once the data warehouse and the data marts are in place,
Right.
then moving on to their dashboarding and advanced analytical use cases. So that is something that, and you would also see, like this year it's all about Gen AI. People have forgotten, but last year's trend, I think 2021, 22 trend was that data engineers will be more in demand than data scientists.
I still feel they are.
They are. No. Gen AI has also brought them to the forefront. Because you also have to make data ready for Gen AI purpose as well. So that also, but just that Gen AI is so much in the air that that is there, but just not talked about so much.
Hi friends, welcome to another exciting episode of Leading with Data. And this time we have Swati Jain on our show. So Swati leads the India business for EXL Analytics and brings a whole set of diverse experience of working with different industries. She has worked in different geographies and brings immense perspective to the discussion. And I hope that today's discussion, we can learn a lot from Swati and what she has gained over the years. So welcome Swati to the show.
Thank you so much, Kunal. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you so much for inviting to this Analytics Vidhya. First of all, the office, and then welcoming to the whole community here, talking to the office team and all. It has been just a pleasure. So thank you, and I was so much looking forward to be here in person, so that I'm not only able to talk to you through this, but also meet the enthusiastic team of Analytics Vidhya.
Sure. Thanks, Swati. So Swati, let's start the discussion with your journey and how you got into analytics. Because, when we started our career, analytics was not the mainstream choice. And most of the people who have started the career at that time would have come into analytics through different routes. So what was your route and what was your aha moment about, that analytics is the place where you want to be?
Sure. So, in a nutshell, I think I took life as it came by. I had not thought or dreamt that, okay, I'll be in this world. But one thing was very clear to me, that I wanted to be in a job which was intellectually stimulating.
Okay.
So, I grew up in Jaipur. Was quite a good student, NTSC scholar, head girl of my school. So that was, the aspirations were high. Most of my classmates went to IITs. Some of them are again in the same field.
Okay.
So that was, I took a route. I did my bachelor's in economics and then came to do master's in business economics from Delhi University. So that was my route. So it was not like I will be in a technical domain. But when I was doing my internship, summer internship, while doing my MBE business economics, I did it from DSP Merrill Lynch.
Okay.
And in Merrill Lynch, I did a project on innovations in Indian debt market. So that was a project, it was highly appreciated. The head of North India specifically he saw the work that I did for 2.5 to 3 months. And actually for that summer internship, I used to wake the whole night to do my research. So he actually on a Saturday, he just organized, we were just a handful, 2-3 interns. He organized a Saturday just for our presentations and all, and they like it was quite motivating for me, the first stint in the corporate world. And that time they offered me a job in sales
Okay, interesting.
from DSP. And I introspected, because the name of DSP Merrill Lynch means it was
It
going
was a
to
big
the,
name,
it was
yeah.
a big name, but I felt I did not want to do that at that point in time.
Okay.
I mean, I didn't want that. I'm just selling products at the start of my career. Today we do.
Wow.
We do sell analytics projects as leaders, but this is, it comes with a lot of intellectual inputs there.
Yeah.
But
This is
that
very
time,
different selling.
as a fresher, so I actually introspected. It was not that at the time of when you are being offered, you have a whole host, a lot of jobs. It was not the case then. But then also I was sure that I don't want to start in a sales profile. So that was very clear that I want to do something which uses my mind, which puts me into research, analysis of things. Like we found out about the debt instruments and what new debt instruments can come in the market, like that. So that was clear. So I think that intellectual thing was very clear for me from the very beginning.
And just to understand this, so they would also be one of the topmost payers in the industry at that time. So it would have been a very difficult decision for a
No,
student.
I think money was not a consideration. I was
Okay.
not thinking it that ways.
Mhm.
Maybe I had a vision for my life.
Okay.
And frankly speaking, this is the first time ever question because I have talked about it a few times. This question has come to me for the first time, that was money a determinant then?
Okay.
Not at all.
Okay.
Because if I wanted to enjoy my work, that was my first criteria.
Mhm.
And I felt that money will come sooner or later. Means actually, I didn't even think about it
Wow.
that time.
So that in itself, I think, is a big learning, especially for people early in their career. That early in the career, you want to resonate with what you can relate to, what you feel are your strengths. So I think that itself is a tremendous learning.
Yes. Actually, what you can relate to, what you want to do, and what you feel are your strengths.
Yeah.
These are very good, very well put, Kunal.
Mhm.
So that's how then I chose. So there were companies that came in the campus and all. And also I applied externally, and I got in a startup. I got through in a startup where I was to create content, something like what analytics is doing. So I'm not sure if you know, it's a company named Manupatra. It creates legal content. Today it is one of the very most respected legal portals in the country.
Wow.
So there I was made charge to develop business and policy modules.
Okay.
So a lot of modules related to WTO, anti-dumping, Indian industrial policies and procedures, foreign trade policies and procedures. So a lot of that. So as part of that, I used to visit CII, FICCI, SOCHM, PAGCCI. I think almost all of the research and policy institutes in the country.
And which year was this?
This was 2000.
And in that time, content creation was not a industry, so to speak, like it is today.
No, it was just starting, because the internet had just, we started Googling those days and all, right? So it had just begun. So it was not, even I had not heard of this kind of a job, right? It just, I sometimes feel it was made for me. I loved it.
Wow.
But yeah, I never felt that I was doing a job. And so I think 5-6 months, I was just given topics, and I just created content on that. And I was just thinking, that time I used to think that how will they make money out of it? But to my surprise, in 1 year, the company was cash rich.
Okay.
And the director told me one day, our company director, that Swati has done a PhD on this topic. That just stuck with me. I said that I have done so much research, I'll actually do a PhD.
Yeah, and then
I actually went on to do, means then as fate would have it, like I was there just for 1 year in that organization. Then I moved to Ernst & Young.
Yeah.
And IIT Delhi used to be next door.
Okay.
And one lunch time, I just dropped by there. They told that interviews are happening, and if you have experience, 2 years experience, you can apply.
Wow.
And that's how I started my PhD. And there, my statistical analysis and all the journey began, along with EY, where I was doing transfer pricing analysis as an economist.
Interesting.
Then that was the first time that actually data, numbers, and started coming in, but not in that form that we see today. It was more of financial analysis that I started with.
Okay.
And statistical analysis for my PhD thesis. With sample, with data sample. Today we do it.
And just want to understand that slightly better. So you're, in EY working on transfer pricing. Your past experience was content creation for a legal team. How do you decide on the PhD topic and then committing like 4 years or whatever time period? So what was the thought at that time?
Absolutely. So, great question, Kunal. I think the thought was, as I say, that perhaps I think I was more driven by my vision and passion in initial years.
Okay.
So I always had that I have to, if I have to make a mark, a girl coming from Jaipur, where like in those days, girls did not move out so much. They moved out mainly for marriage. Today, of course, so I said that if I have to make my mark in the industry, then how can I do it? I felt that studies and academics is one of the good ways. And also, I was very interested in studying.
Okay.
So that's how I decided to do my PhD. I was so passionate because I was also doing a job alongside.
Right.
So I was that I'll give up my job anytime it comes in the way of my PhD. Though it did not come, I could do it even otherwise. But yeah, I was very clear I have to pursue this, and I was lucky also because I got very good guides who were extremely supportive.
Okay.
Also, it coincided with the period of my maternity leaves as well. So all in all, I could sail through it sail through it pretty well.
Wow, that's commendable. Yeah. So, Swati, just want to go slightly deeper. So, when you took the topic or decided the topic of statistic, did you feel the need to know deeper about that subject in your role, or was that just driven entirely by passion?
No, so I see. I was an economics student. I had stats as a subject, and frankly speaking, you don't know much what is going to come through. You don't even know what is a process. Like first you have to do the coursework, then you have to submit the synopsis, then it has to be approved, then you have to go through the whole lot of thesis research and then thesis writing. I don't think I knew it till it came my way. So automatically things started coming, but the mantra was that do what you want to do, what you are passionate about, and whatever comes to you, do it well. Take help from people around. So I know that even I was significantly helped by people when I used to visit these research institutes, CII, FICCI. I made connections, and those people were mostly PhDs. So they advised and guided me that how I can do it and sail through it and what are the mantras. So I think this is also taking support from your ecosystem also sort of helped me, and then slowly and gradually you are able to sail through it. You get the right people.
Got it. So these initial days with EY and working on transfer pricing would be largely small data, few data points, and then you have to figure out the exact trends. So what were those early days like, and then when did you see the domain kind of proliferating and then lot more data than expected coming in?
So no. So in this in transfer pricing, the data is actually limited to the extent of financial reports of the companies and all. So that was small data only, I would say. But I could the main thing was that you should be able to get the main meat out of the data. So that was basically that decision that you have to take, that comparison that you have to do as a. So this is about calculation of arm's length pricing.
Right.
At whether the companies are shipping to their parent companies and sister companies at the right price. So it just helped me focus on the key goal that you are going to do. And data may be small or large, and at that time we had not heard about big data or anything, right? So it was just focused on that. But then slowly and gradually, I think there it stuck. I was there for around couple of years. Then I moved into the field of anti-dumping. Then it was more research orientation that I was there for a couple of more years. But then slowly post this, I moved into market research team in Cognizant.
Okay.
And that is when again the data was limited to a few hundred or thousand respondents and all, because that was a MR team.
Yeah.
We used to survey doctors, physicians, etc.
And a lot of physical data, as in visits data, so it could also be very different based on how it was captured. And
yes, absolutely. So that was very interesting. Very different types of awareness, trial of drugs, usage of drugs, message recall, promotion studies, pricing studies, sample optimization. How do you optimize a sample that you circulate in the market?
Okay.
So very, very different things, but thorough understanding of the pharma industry on the on the one direction, and secondly on how do you make the overall landscape more effective through the use of data that is available.
Interesting. So again, going from, let's say, legal company to again spending time in EY with transfer pricing, and now a completely new domain, right? So you would have spent a lot of time gaining that domain knowledge, and then so how were those years like? In any particular projects or any particular challenges which you remember from that time which you faced?
Absolutely. I think that was quite a shift. I moved from EY to a company named Pipel. There I had worked on healthcare and banking domains.
Okay.
So domain knowledge I started getting. I started becoming domain agnostic, because it was not that I had remained in one single domain.
Of course.
From legal to financial to banking to healthcare, and now I was in pharma.
Wow.
So right, and these are also distinct. People say pharma, healthcare together, but they are quite different. So it was quite a shift for me, but I could see analytics coming in a very strong way.
Okay.
And I had huge respect for some of these new startups that had been set up then.
Okay.
Right. I work with EXL right now.
Yeah.
Inductis was one of them.
Big at that time.
Market RX
was
again big. There was MarketX. There were several others.
I remember. In fact, when I was passing out of college, these companies used to be the day one, day two companies, and then on the promise that you'll get a lot of fast career growth in those companies. So,
even today we are. So we go to IITs. So IITs, IIMs, and hired from 100 campuses this year. So So absolutely.
Yeah. So coming back to your journey, so during this period, so now you have experience in multiple domains, and so any particular project which you remember which was extremely challenging? It could be because of the inherent problem or the nature of data or what we were expected to deliver. So any particular project which you remember?
I think there are there's a lot of interesting work done over a period of time, and maybe I will give a glimpse of that and then deep dive into one project. So I already talked about the market research, and after that we moved into the healthcare analytics side. So there was um, uh, basically projects on Medicare consumers, calculating the risk there for the health insurance companies. So that was a pretty good project done long back. So maybe I'll not elaborate on that.
Okay.
Then there was like for the consumers health risk assessment, uh, consumer overall engagement, next best action that has to be taken with the consumers. So those were typical projects that we did in healthcare alongside call center analytics, etc. So that was there. Then in the banking industry, then in EXL, I worked in the banking card landscape and also in the retail landscape.
Okay.
So a lot of interesting projects done there, right from the consumer side, take it from a marketing spend optimization to customer lifetime value, cross-sell, upsell.
Yeah.
So from a consumer perspective, quite a lot. From a risk perspective, again, fraud collections, all of these were there. Then even I think that was little bit across the landscape, I say, from and we provide data engineering, data management services to visualization to advanced analytics. So across the board, there were projects. One project that and there are few projects that come across to my mind. One was very interesting, wherein we were approached by a media company to optimize their ad break strategy.
Interesting.
So that was, I think, when we were approached, it was 5-6 years back. Not much we could find. We'd not done such a project, and we could not find much. So it was that what time in a TV program, in a particular program, in a particular channel, what time the ad should start, what should be the duration of the ad breaks, and what should be the frequency of the ad break. Now, if it's a 30-minute program, it's a 90-minute program, it's a 120-minute program, we had to devise for the entire channel their ad break strategy.
Interesting.
And so we had to just think like, how do we go about doing it? There were like, of course, a lot of variables, content of the programs itself, then historical viewership data, then competitor data, then seasonality data. If we were talking about a kids channel, then are there kids holidays, not? So a lot of data and all that we had to look into. And so the way we did was we first predicted the retention of the consumers on the channel, and then actually applied optimization to see that at what start time and the duration of the ad break and the frequency, at what parameters of these will give the maximum retention.
Got it.
So
the objective was changed to retention of the customer, and then
I mean, how do you see, the whole objective is why do you optimize the ad? Means why do you have to create an ad break strategy to maximize the retention of the customers on the channel when the ad comes?
Yeah, and that's actually very interesting, because a lot of times I've seen companies actually optimizing from brand recall for the brand who is advertising, as opposed to the retention of the customer. So that's actually interesting. But
right. So this was one. Then we've done other projects also, like one of the information service providers had approached us, and so they have like analyst calls. And there were like around 400,000 analyst calls every year that the analysts do. They wanted to extract the key topic being discussed in the call. So today it's Gen AI, but then not. And we actually went about using NLP and all to extract the key topic, the key question that was asked on the call, and then had a UI interface for the analysts so they can see. And it helped them in multiple ways, that like which are the topics trending in the market, which are the subjects that they should create their further research on. So that way is like very difficult to do it if the data was not leveraged.
So, through this diverse experience, how did your perspective as a leader change? And then, how do you, because I'm sure at this time you're leading a team, leading a company, and then, different challenges, that what is the latest thing happening, how much time to spend on researching that versus implementing those in projects, to how much importance do you give to data engineering versus actually the analysis which is happening. So can you describe a bit about the perspective you developed in this journey?
Yeah, that's a very nice question. And actually, every time you interact with customers, so what I've loved over the period of time, so I started my journey when I said that, okay, I don't want to do sales. Today, I love that part the best, because I get to meet with the senior folks, C-suites of the companies, and actually discuss their real problem. And then navigate the team and the work in that direction.
Correct.
So I think a lot of learning came a long way. One is touching the points that you discussed. One is that you have to understand the problem pretty well, research it out.
Correct.
So that is, it's not, and also I came to know that don't think that you don't know.
Yeah.
Over the period of time, I learned that you have to have that focused effort on solving anything. And if you put that focused effort with the right team, and the team which has the right skills and the right intent and the passion, then your solution can be best in the world.
Correct. Interesting.
So that is one thing, because many over the years, and I have been in the service industry, so a lot of different problems have been posed to us. Many a times we did not know what to do with it. But actually, when we started investing our 10 to 12 hours on a daily basis on their problem, we realized that suddenly we emerged as the best. There might have been people who might have been doing it, but we could do it.
And then a lot of times these problems are actually new for everyone, right? So even the media industry has not done this before. And then so in that sense, staying curious, first principle thinking, and just bringing continuous efforts, I think counts a lot more than the actual knowledge about the domain.
Absolutely. And secondly, also that, when you even go to present your solution, then also you see that there are different stakeholders consuming it. So you also have to be in their shoes to be able to articulate why that solution should be adopted.
Correct.
Because you would realize that adoption is one of the big problems in this industry.
True.
Right? So we did have such problems. So we did have, say, the marketing leader said that, or I'm not sure, maybe like in one of the areas where we put the solution together, one of the leaders was not aligned. She said that we want to go by the gut feel. Because we don't understand how this result has come. So there are different stakeholders, and then you have to push or not even push, you have to explain the perspective that what this data can do. If there are, say 2 trillion possibilities out of which this has come, can this be done manually, or can a gut feel lead to that? So there are a lot of things where you also have to see the perspective of the end user. Simplicity helps there. How much simple you can make it and put it before others.
So simplicity in actually explanation to the customers. The back-end analysis obviously continues to be
but it has to be put simply before. So that was another learning that, and the third learning, and it is that stakeholders alignment.
Yeah.
So that also is very, very important, because if stakeholders are not aligned, ultimately it will not be adopted.
Right.
So actually seeing that cycle of development, of getting the customer problem to development and then adoption, we've seen many use cases falling apart.
Correct.
And especially at the adoption stage. So what actually brings them to the end are some of the other learnings that and the perspective that I developed in terms of, as I said, stakeholder alignment, simplicity, and beginning with the end in mind. That, okay, what will happen then? Because sometimes we get so much focused only on the variables and the data.
Correct.
That at least that may impact maybe a few percentage, but then ultimately if it is not implemented, how much does it impact? And sometimes also one of the learnings in my initial days was that a very important variable only that we not considered, or we had wrongly considered. So those were some of the goof offs that you have to see how you can do it right afterwards, because in analytics it is running the whole thing again if you have not
expensive.
If you do not have the base, expensive in terms of time and money both.
Correct. In fact, I remember another example. This was we were working on this problem, and I think analytically it was a brilliant solution, right? So you had a very well defined outcome inputs, but what happened was we missed to realize that when you implement this and the word goes out that these variables are impacting the outcome, the human behavior of those inputs variable would itself change. So the point you said about starting with the end in mind and keeping it simple, that if the outcome is defined by these three variables, let's make sure they themselves are not influenced. This is a tremendous learning.
No, absolutely. I think that is something, it is not easy to achieve also. When we get lost in the data and the solution, then somebody has to be sitting there
outside
to ascertain that, so those were, I think that has been a beautiful part of the ride.
Correct.
Yeah.
And so moving to your conversations which you are having today with these leaders across the globe, so what are some of the most common questions you are getting? And I'm sure a lot of them are about generative AI and use of chatbots. So what are some of the more recent discussions or requirements which you have come across from your clients?
So as you ask it, two things cross my mind. One is, of course, Gen AI, which but before that, even over the past couple of years, the conversations that I have had, the first is around earlier what we, Kunal, and you would agree to this, we were either doing advanced analytics models, or we were doing some visualization stuff. The data could come in an ad hoc fashion, or could be more systematic that we could get from their systems. But over the past couple of years, post-COVID, we've got, and personally the conversations that I have been, the clients have asked even for putting their data infra in place. The whole means they are taking it, the whole approach of analytics,
to making it systematic,
very, very systematic. Building data warehouses.
Got it.
Then once the data warehouse and the data marts are in place, then moving on to the dashboarding and advanced analytical use cases. So that is something that, and you would also see, like this year it's all about Gen AI. People have forgotten, but last year's trend, I think 2021, 22 trend was that data engineers will be more in demand than data scientists.
I still feel they are.
They are. No. Gen AI has also brought them to the forefront. Because you also have to make data ready for Gen AI purposes as well. So that also, but just that Gen AI is so much in the air that that has that is there, but just not talked about so much.
Correct.
So first is, I think this whole piece, the conversation around the digital transformation of organizations, have been in conversation with so many, not only global but Indian organizations, where the customers come saying that we want to digitally transform our enterprise, whether they are manufacturing companies or they are in media, or media anyways was there, but still they want to do a lot more.
Yeah.
Or fintechs, startups. I think everybody, but more so those areas of manufacturing and all, who are just coming that we want to digitally transform ourselves.
Okay.
So that is one. And the second conversation is definitely on Gen AI. So there, all companies, and I've seen that more, I think globally, more in the US side of the world and all, I've seen more propensity to talk and experiment. And in India, also we are having conversations around what we can do in Gen AI, and even final stages and even starting. But the customers are wanting to be much more clear. They also have this, that whether it's a hype or it's a reality.
Yeah.
So there's a little more caution that I've seen here, and I think that's with all the technologies. So but a lot of different use cases. In fact, in all the aspects, if we see, like whether it is from content extraction perspective, classification perspective, summarization, or generation, or all the aspects, seen use cases. Was in conversation with a banking client, and they want to use their the data, even the hand text written documents regarding the loan application, of whether if they can extract the data in a structured format, along with other structured data available, to determine whether the loan has to be given or not. Similarly, classification of emails, to put it in the right categories of complaints, or create automated responses. That's another. And then conversational BI, you said, those are other use cases.
And I mean, in the spectrum, right? So I've met people who are very skeptic that, this is just one phase, like big data came and then it fizzled out, to almost, people who are saying that this is the biggest moment after Google came along. So in this spectrum, where do you see yourself, and how are you navigating generative AI?
No, I would just say that my personally, as well as I advise everyone, that start using it and leveraging it to the best of your advantage, because I see it like that. Like when we started using Google, before that it was around my master's or so. Before that, we had not imagined that all the information will be there with us, right? We had to go, I still recall that I had to go to the libraries to search for any particular topic and get all the information around that topic.
And research papers, and then you would look at books.
Research papers. I used to sit in IIT libraries. I think that research papers still need to be referred. So that is, but of course, so much. But today, I need on any topic, not today, I'm saying when Google gave me any topic, at least you'll get some direction of pointers, something, what is happening. So similarly, today, you can even get write-ups. So if you know how to use it, how to leverage it to your advantage, so I think the ones who learn to leverage it to their advantage will definitely have some advantage over others who are not doing it. And that is what I feel that. But there's so much, Kunal. we at best can be can see that where we will use, all of us will need to use it in our work, and what are the possibilities available, learn about them, and then start leveraging it so that we are the front runners in our respective field.
Right.
So,
and I think it's easy to say we are front runners in our field, but that takes tremendous amount of action at the back end, in the sense that, the first level of transformation is at a personal level. So as you mentioned, right, people using generative AI in their own workflows, then at a team level, at an organization level, and then what possibilities does it unfold. And I was actually talking to someone, and they mentioned that they're using generative AI to create new use cases. So they're brainstorming with the bot, and then it's just phenomenal in terms of what all can be done.
Oh, that is so interesting. No, there also there's no. This is very, very interesting. I've heard of it, but I am not sure about it myself. That do we have lesser use cases to solve for currently? But yeah, but also the Gen AI use, the way we say is that first use it internally, and then use it on the customer facing side, so that at least you have tried and tested it, that it is working. Because otherwise, that is moving from low risk domain to high risk domain. That way is, I think, the progression of using of generative AI in enterprise context can be there.
Correct. And so let's assume that there is someone who is just coming out of college, right? And they are seeing a lot of this action, discussion around generative AI. What would be your advice to these people about how should they approach their career, and any pieces of advice you can give to these people?
So first of all, I will say that you seeing all this outside, look within.
Right.
That what are you fascinated about in personally, internally? What fascinates you? If and see, there's a lot of Gen AI happening there now. It is not something that you can, any industry can afford to be away with. But first you decide your industry, your area. Do you want to be in a creative field? Do you want to be in a technical field? Do you want to be in a you want to be a writer, you want to be a musician, you want to be a business person, you want to start a company. First you have to see what you want to do. Then once you have decided that, okay, I want to do this kind of work, and or maybe you decide that I want to be in this domain. And then maybe from a technical perspective, if you have to pick up, then you can see that how you have to go through the whole analytics journey, or and of course, I think generative AI and all, you have to educate yourself in the whole data and analytics space. Means I do say that there's democratization of AI that is there now. Citizen data scientists that I have to be there in all the organizations and all. So I think that will come automatically. First look within will be my advice. And then also in this whole spectrum, if you are fascinated, sometimes people are fascinated by technology and they cannot, and not only fascinated, sometimes they cannot also stay away. Now, today, Kunal, one thing, if we have approached anyone in the industry, in any organization, whom we wanted to seek a meeting with, to share our capabilities and what we can do from an analytics AI perspective with them, we've always got an appointment.
Got it. So industry has become a lot more open to hearing what is.
No, I mean, I think it is their need today, need of the hour. They just want that people are coming and advising them how they can do better, because in any job to do better, now you can leverage data analytics. So this is the biggest thing, that we don't have to, means it is easy for us to get appointments. First, we have to decide where we want to spend our time.
Got it. Interesting. So coming back to the question, so one is, have a deep reflection about who you are, something what you, for example, did at the start of your career. and then look at how you can use these tools and technologies.
Absolutely,
and,
absolutely.
And just spending a bit of time about how you see next few years, right? Because you've seen multiple cycles in the industry. You've seen something getting really center of attraction. I remember deep learning when it came around, right? There was a lot of discussion. So how do you see next few years? What would be some of the top trends or areas where you would focus on in, let's say, next few years?
So I think in the next few years, I think this year this was quite a bubble on Gen AI. I think that will become a little mainstream over the next few years. That's what I think, that people will we will see more and more use cases coming of implementation. Some will pass and some will fail, but then we will know where actually this is effective. So what I feel is that, of course, this journey that started in the early 2000s of leveraging data and then analytics, advanced analytics, deep learning, and now Gen AI will continue. Um, Howsoever, as I said, that the trend that has started is focusing on the data, your core infra, and all that will also, over the next, when I'm talking about a short term, 3 to 5 years, as people focus on Gen AI, the focus on putting the data together, the focus on even using and knowing more about the cloud, leveraging the cloud technologies, etc., where to use what and all. So I think for the short term, I see this, that the whole stabilizing and reaping value from the hype that has been created will be there. But going forward, I think, of course, as it is being talked about, that maybe like Gen AI, and there's so much talk about the automation and jobs going away and all of that. I think people, we will have to come to the forefront. Means all of us, humans now, it's a human versus AI race. Humans will have to come to the forefront and see how they can leverage AI to create more time for themselves and use their creative bit to ensure that AI is assisting them and augmenting them, and it is and the fear of replacing sort of has to be overcome by humans themselves, to see that how they can leverage it to their advantage and not vice versa.
Sure. Okay. And any particular, let's say, new opportunities which you think will become really big in next few years?
So, in terms of new opportunities, see, frankly speaking, the only thing that I feel is, see, metaverse, blockchain, all of these have been talked about. I think all will progress their own path. But I do believe that the Gen AI, if we leverage it effectively, and it will become big. Like today, we say that have you Googled it and Google it. We don't say search it. So similarly, I think for any and everything, I can just use it for everything.
For automation of any knowledge tasks, or
be it for automation, be it for creation, be it for generation, right? For anything. So so I would mean that's the
area you would want to.
That's the area that is at the top of my mind. Of course, the rest, all of this will progress and continue. But
Great. Swati, towards the end of this episode, we do a quick rapid fire question with our guests. So I would just want you to tell whatever comes top of the mind on the questions. So, tea or coffee? Coffee. And are you a Android or a iOS? iOS. Okay. And building a career in India, outside India.
in India.
In India. And within India, tier 1 city, tier 2 city?
Any.
Okay, great. Any pieces of advice for the community members about who are going to build their career in this domain?
So one thing that I would want to share is that this is an industry where learning has no end.
Yeah.
So if you can develop that interest, that passion, and that discipline for learning, that every day you are learning something, and keep that sacred 10 minutes, 20 minutes, half an hour, 1 hour, whatever you can afford, but it will go a long way. So I would say that this is the one learning bit I will say. And second, also, I will just say that if you are interested in this field, many people come. I am not, I do not have the technical background, but I want to pursue in this field. What do I do? So there's a lot. So because if you look at an AI project implementation, it is not just about coding. It is understanding that domain. It is about project managing the whole requirement. So there are different skill sets that are required in the whole journey of that analytics and AI project. So I would say that you can fit in. If you feel you are an expert in a domain, then of course you have to get a little bit idea of what the data and analytics ecosystem, but you need not be an expert, like a person who's been there all through. So these are two bits of advice I would want to give.
Sure. Great. Thanks, Swati, for sharing those. And then it has been a fascinating discussion, right? So from the point where you took that call in your career that, sales early in the career is not for you, to, sharing these insights that you have to keep learning. You have to, there is a lot more than just coding to any AI implementation. And just staying curious about how to go about first principle thinking, to exploring different domains. I think there is so much to learn, and thanks for sharing those insights with us.
Thank you so much, Kunal. It has been a pleasure to talk to you, and on diverse areas. And some of the questions also I didn't expect. They were means after a long time somebody had posed such questions. So it was a pleasure being here. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.